I am so glad you're here with me today. By the end of the video, you are going to be an expert at how you can use this busy book in simple and fun ways to help your child master early education concepts. Now, I am a former preschool teacher turned mom of four, the designer and creator behind all of our products here at Hadley Designs, our busy book being one of them. I am so excited to walk you through different ways, and they are very simple, of how you can use it with your child to help them learn and to grow. When children feel like they're playing as they're actually disguised as learning, they are going to master the concepts we are teaching them, all while learning to love learning, which is super important. Here at Hadley Designs, we are passionate about screen-free fun, screen-free learning, and the difference that makes in our children's lives. We believe as we do that, we are helping grow children who are curious about the world, who are excited to learn, and who grow up to change the world. So inside this busy book, so all of it comes assembled for you. And what's awesome about this is even when your child is just playing with this on their own, whether it be in quiet time, a car ride, because it's perfect on the go, taking off and putting back on that Velcro is actually building muscles in their hands that are important for pre-writing skills. They're the same muscles they're going to use to write. So as they're practicing doing this on their own, they're actually building skills for the future, even when they're just playing with this book by themselves. So first here, we have our colors. One fun activity you can do with the colors, obviously you can take off all of the pieces and have your child match them back onto the colors page. But another one that you can do is you can take off all of the pieces, and one by one, as your child puts them on, they can say the color. So this is the color red, and you can ask them to think of something that is the color red. And if they're having a hard time, you can help spark their imagination by being like, I think fire trucks are red and apples. Can you think of something else that's red? That's a great and easy way. You're bringing in that vocabulary and helping them connect the color to actual physical items and objects that they know in their life. So then it's their turn to come up with an object. Once they put the color on, like we just put on the color pink, you can say, is there something in your bedroom that's the color pink? Can you go get it and bring it back to me? And they get to add in that movement, run to their room, find something pink, bring it back to you. And that way they are building so many skills there together. And while doing those at the same time, they are going to master their colors. Next here, we have our alphabet. So all of these pieces come off, and behind them is a matching item that starts with that letter. So behind the letter B, we have a bumblebee. So as you are teaching your child letters and the alphabet, what is way more important than the letter name initially is the letter sound. So even when they're singing the alphabet, they should really be doing that by sound. So like a, b, k, d, f, g is way important for early reading, way more important for early reading than the name of the letter. So this is a really fun one. They can take all the pieces off and they can just match them back on. A few other ideas of ways you can use this is the first one being every letter that they take off, you can ask them to think of their own word that starts with that letter. So they have the example here, like with the letter A. So the letter A says like apple. And what can they think of that starts with the letter A, whether it be alligator? And you can do things to give them clues to spark their imagination, like, I'm thinking of a creature who usually lives in the water. He has big, sharp teeth. You can give them clues, and they're going to connect that in their mind. Being able to break apart sounds and identify that initial sound of a word is incredibly important for early reading. But one of my favorite activities with this one, we like to take off all of the pieces and then put them into a sensory bin of some kind. So if you've never used a sensory bin before, this is as simple as grabbing a Tupperware container and filling it with rice. Or for us, we have this little sensory table right here where the top comes off. This little bin here is full of kinetic sand. So you can see we have sand here. So what I love to do with the busy book is I take off all of the pieces and I hide them in the sand. And then my kiddo gets to dig through and have that sensory experience looking for the letters. And when they find it, they pull it out, they say the sound, and they match it onto the book. Last one I'm gonna share with this one because my daughter loves it so much is we will take off, whether it's all of them or if your child is just starting, it might just be a few of the letters. we will take them off and we'll go hide them around the room. And she gets to go on a little letter hunt, searching for the letters, and it's really turning in alphabet practice into an awesome game to help that learning stick again. Here we have I can match numbers. A fun way to do this, they can just match it on the page here, as well as if you pull off all the fingers, you can practice counting and seeing that on their fingers with them. Having that physical example is that multi-sensory learning is going to help the learning really stick. Another great way would be if you pull up the piece and you line them all up on your table, say, okay, whether you give them, we like to use a bin of like the math cubes, and they can line up the same number of cubes. So like with the 1 apple, they'll put 1 cube in front of it. With the 2 flamingos, they can put 2 cubes. So matching that with their own building blocks and connecting them, it really is a bonus if the pieces connect, such as with math cubes or Legos or whatever, as they're connecting them and using their hands. Again, it's that multi-sensory learning that is really going to just be incredible for your child's learning. That's a great way to do this. You can also have them take all of the pieces off and line them up in order from biggest to smallest or smallest to biggest. There are so many fun ways that you can use number concepts there. Then we have our emotions. This is a fabulous one to make sure you have in your calming area, or just to talk about how we're feeling. You can pull it out whenever your child is having some big feelings, and you can ask them like, which one of these faces is how you're feeling right now? What do you think we call that? And talk about what's most important is that we're talking about it's okay to feel that way. It is always okay to feel an emotion. But what is not okay is how we choose to handle it. There are certain ways that are appropriate to handle that emotion and certain ways that aren't. So as you talk about emotions with them, you can have them do that. One of our funnest activities that we've done with this is I'll set up a little mirror in front of my daughter and we talk about each of these emotions, and then we practice making that face. Having that connection time and turning it into play makes learning about emotions super fun. Next, we have the months of the year. This is a great one where you can tie in the months of the year song. So January, February, March, and April, May, June, July, and August, September, October, November, December. These are the months of the year. And they can place all of the months on there as they're saying them. This is another great one as you talk about different holidays that fall throughout the year. We can be talking about what kind of holiday happens during February. What is Valentine's Day? And just starting to understand those early calendar concepts while placing the pieces on. The visual bright color illustrations that go along with each month is really going to help solidify that learning for your kiddo. Next, we have shapes. This is another awesome one to use in like a sensory bin or as a hide and seek game around your house to talk about matching those shapes. This is also another great one where as they place the circle, for example, you can ask them like, is there something around the house that looks like a circle to you? And going on a shape hunt. Go on a shape hunt outside and walk to the park and find the different shapes that you see. You can even collect shapes. This is a great way to introduce shapes. And next we have the days of the week. This is another one to introduce the days of the week song, talking about you can start your day off every single morning with this page, have it on their nightstand, and you talk about what today is, what yesterday was, and what tomorrow is. Next, we have the seasons. This can be another way that you start your morning with your child, talking about what's the weather today, what season is it. Next, we have ocean animals. This is a fun one too, where they can try and draw their own ocean creature to go along. What's cool about these is when the pieces come off, if you put them face down onto a piece of paper, so the colored side down, they make it pretty easy to trace around with a pencil. Now, depending on your child's development level, it might be kind of hard to trace. You may need to help them, but that's a fun way just to start learning how to draw and trace animals, and you can help them draw that in, color it in. That's a really fun way to use that one. This is our pattern page. So the first thing your child can do as they're initially learning about patterns is fill in the missing pattern when you've taken the pieces off. Depending on how far along they are understanding patterns, you could do one row at a time, or if you pull off all of the pieces at once, it makes it a lot more difficult. So just depending on the level of your child. Another fun one I like to do with this is have my child create their own pattern. So we can pull off all of them and have them make their own pattern. They can also practice adding to the pattern if you just place it on paper and then they get to draw it. So there are so many ways that you can expand upon learning about patterns. Again, a great way to take the pieces off, trace them, talk about the animal sounds, the animal names, and talk about that vocabulary. Another fun one, before we go on actually with the farm animals or any animals in general, is you could pick a few of the pieces and have your child create a story. So maybe you pull off the pig and the horse, and their job is to create a story about the pig and the horse on the farm that day. So getting creative, using their imagination, and really triggering those early reading concepts as well. Here we have fruits and vegetables where we talk about sorting. This could be a fun one where you introduce different fruit, and you could even make a fruit salad as your family activity that day. You can talk about adding some strawberries and pineapple, and which foods do we want to eat together in our fruit salad, which would we not? What kind of vegetables should we add to dinner tonight, and talk about why fruits and vegetables are good for our bodies. So that's a great way to introduce that there. Then we have matching the human body. This is so important, children understanding what their body parts are called. And so you can have them stick the piece on the same place on their face, or go put it on a stuffed animal or another object as they're really solidifying understanding the body parts. And then last but not least here, we have our counting train. This is a fun one where they can take it off and put it in different order. This is great. These number pieces in general can be very helpful because you can even just line them up along your table. And again, grab some bricks or even like some Cheerios or like a fun snack, and they can line up the correct number of that snack below the number they see at the top. We use these numbers all of the time, whether we're doing an activity like that, whether I already have piles of things and they have to count those, pull off the right number and match it to the pile. Again, keeping it simple and fun, helping them love learning. That is the goal. Hands-on learning, loving to learn and having fun while doing so, and building that relationship with you and your child. It only takes a few minutes a day, and I promise that you are going to be so glad you did. The memories you have together, and your child is going to love learning and enjoy all of those concepts as they get older and grow up to change the world.